This video is for reference only and does not constitute for a complete instruction manual. If you need a consultation, please contact your nearest tornado service department. This is an instructional video on the operation of the AC-3 universal shotcrete machine. The machine is designed to mechanically apply shotcrete mixtures to different surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, metal, using both dry and wet mixed shotcrete processes. Do not use the machine for other purposes than intended. Machine design. The machine consists of a frame on which the actuator is located. It includes a gearbox and an electric motor covered by a casing. The machine shaft, on which the dosing rotor, dosing drum, is mounted from above, extends from the gearbox. The lined rotor is located between the upper and lower sealing plates. The base plate is attached to the gearbox from above. There are 2 guide rods and 4 tie rods on it which lock the dosing head. The sealing plate's pressing force against the rotor is adjusted by changing the length of the tie rods. The dosing head equipped with the vibrator and a sieve with a cutter for cutting bags is attached to the dosing head with locking bolts. An agitator is located inside the bunker. The pressure from the emptied rotor cell is discharged through the exhaust outlet. The blower unit with a rubber and polyurethane insert is attached to the bottom of the base plate. The material hose is attached to it with a coupling clamp. To move the unit, wheels and a handle with a swivel wheel are attached to the frame. The machine's air system consists of an air distributor that is connected to the supply line with the supply line valve. Coming out of the air distributor is the upper main line with the upper air line valve and the lower main line with the valve and the pressure gauge. In the upper part, there is the vibrator valve, and in the lower part, there are the valve and the blower unit line. The machine's electric motor protection is connected through a 380V electrical socket and a circuit breaker. The electric motor is controlled by the frequency converter located inside the casing. Let's also have a look at the nozzle design. The nozzle consists of the nozzle holder with ball valve and water adjustment valve, nozzle tip with sealing rings and pressure plate. The list of additional equipment that is required to operate the machine. Air compressor with a capacity of 10 cubic meters per minute and a pressure of 5 to 7 atmospheres. Note that the air consumption depends on the length and diameter of the hoses used. The air consumption graph can be found in the user manual. The air must be free of moisture and oil. Make sure that no moisture or oil can enter the system with the air. This can cause the mixture to build up in the rotor and the blower unit hose and cause the machine to malfunction. It can also adversely affect the shotcrete mixture quality. 380V 50 Hz power source. Water source with a minimum pressure of 3 atmospheres. 18 mm water hose. Air hose with a minimum cross-section of 50 mm. The AC-3 machine is equipped with a frequency converter to adjust its capacity. It can be accessed through the covers located on the sides of the protective casing. The frequency converter is located in a steel electrical box. There is a cooling system inside the electrical box to maintain an operating temperature not exceeding 45 degrees Celsius. It consists of a thermostat, a fan and an air filter. On the front panel, you can find controls. Light failure. Light operates. Speed regulator. Stop button. And start button. There is also a reverse button on the rear panel, which is only used in certain service cases. Startup preparation. Test run. Before operating the machine, be sure to carefully read the AC-3 user manual. Operation of the equipment by an operator who hasn't been given proper instructions is not permitted. Place the machine on a horizontal platform, eliminating the possibility of spontaneous movement, and ground the unit. Check the condition of the frequency converter filter. Clean it if necessary. Check the gearbox oil level through the inspection window. The level must be visible in the inspection window. Operating the machine without oil in the gearbox is not permitted. Disconnect the vibrator line, disconnect the sieve and remove the agitator inside the bunker. Remove the bunker mounting bolts and remove them. Disconnect the upper air supply. Unfasten and fold out the tie rods. Then, lift the dosing head and tilt it back. Remove the dosing rotor. There are protective rubber inserts inside the rotor cells. Check their condition. They should not have tears. Replace them if necessary. Check the rotor liner surface. They should be clean and smooth. There should be no chipping, scratches, scrapes, or dings. If there is wear or scratches of more than 2 mm, remove the linings from the rotor and grind them according to the user manual. Check the surface of the sealing plates. They must be perfectly clean and smooth. They should be free of burrs, scratches, and scuffs. If there are any dings or scratches more than 2 mm, remove the sealing plates and grind them. Before reassembly, the sealing plate's contact surfaces need to be manually coated with a thin layer of Lithol 24 grease. Reassemble the dosing rotor and head in reverse order. Insert the tie rods into the slots of the dispense head. Tighten the nuts on the tie rods by hand or with a tie rod wrench until they stop. Reassemble the machine in reverse order. Connect the material hose with the nozzle to the blower unit using a coupling clamp. Connect an 18 mm water hose from the water source to the nozzle and secure it with a clamp. The minimum water pressure must be 0.3 megapascals. Connect the hose from the compressed air source to the compressed air supply line with a quick coupler. The inner diameter of the hose must be at least 50 mm. Check that all hoses are connected correctly and securely before operation. Connect the 380V 50 Hz power supply to the electric socket and turn on the automatic switch. Run the machine in idle mode for a couple of minutes. This will tighten the plates and allow the plates to rub against the drum. It is extremely important to feed compressed air into the mixture supply system first, and only then to turn the electric motor on. Feed the air from the source or the compressor, then smoothly open the supply line valve until the upper line is fully open. Half open the lower line. Make sure that the drum rotates in the direction of the arrow of the dosing head by pressing the start button. With the unit running, tighten the adjusting nuts on the tie rods evenly up to the stop. Let the machine run for 10 to 15 minutes, and then retighten the tie rods to prevent air leakage between the plate and the rotor. The plates can only be tightened with the air being fed and the electric motor running. Warning: the compressed air must be fed to the mixture supply system first, and only then the electric motor can be turned on. Personnel may not turn on the electric motor if compressed air is not being supplied into the mixture feeding system, as this results in the sealing plate failure. Once the compression plate is adjusted, first press the stop button to turn the electric motor off and then use the supply line valve to shut off the air supply. The startup of the machine. The nozzle operator takes the nozzle in his hands. The operator should stand close to the machine. Feed compressed air to the machine from the compressed air source, and fully open the supply line valve. Fully open the upper air supply valve. Half open the lower air supply valve gently. Open the water supply valve on the nozzle and water and air will come out of the nozzle. Try adjusting the amount of water coming through the nozzle. The amount of water will increase as you smoothly open the valve, and decrease as you close it. Open the valve a little less than halfway so that a small amount of water comes out of the nozzle. Press the start button to turn the machine on. After it is turned on, check rotor rotation once again. It must correspond to the arrow on the dosing rotor or head, which is counterclockwise. Warning: first, feed the compressed air to the mixture supply system and only then turn the electric motor on. Personnel must not turn on the electric motor unless the compressed air is being supplied into the mixture feeding system, as this may result in the failure of the sealing plate. Pour the Shotcrete mixture into the bunker. Use the bottom line valve to set the pressure on the pressure gauge. Depending on the need and the transportation distance, adjust the air pressure on the pressure gauge so that the mixture flow in the material hose is smooth and uniform. The guideline pressure at the pressure gauge is 1.8 atmospheres. Once the mixture is loaded into the bunker and the machine is turned on, the plate needs to be finally tightened so that the space between the rotor and the sealing plate is securely tightened. There should be no dust between the plate and the rotor. Excessive emission of shotcrete makes dust from the space between the plate and the rotor will cause progressive wear and tear of the plate and rotor. If dusting does occur, it indicates insufficient tightening. Turn off the machine, empty it from the mix, disassemble and clean it, and inspect both the rotor and the plate. After the inspection, reassemble the machine and restart it. After starting the machine and feeding the mixture, the nozzle operator, evaluating visually, adjusts the water content in the mixture using the valve. In case of excessive emission of dust, the water flow rate must be increased until the emission of dust stops. In case of the mixture not sticking to the surface or dripping from it, the water flow rate must be reduced until the mixture starts to stick. The nozzle must be held perpendicularly to the shotcreting surface at a distance of up to 1 meter. The shotcrete mixture should be sprayed in horizontal strips, successively from the bottom upwards, uniformly moving the nozzle in a spiral. The operator must continuously pour the mixture into the bunker through the sieve attached to it, and monitor the air pressure on the pressure gauge. Also, periodically during operation, the operator should check and tighten the machine's tie rods to prevent excessive emission of dust and air leakage. Slight spouting of air within the bunker is acceptable. If necessary, for the better pouring of the mixture, the pneumatic vibrator on the bunker can be turned on. When working, the operator and the shotcrete specialist must be in sight of each other to signal each other, for example, to turn the machine on or off. The shut-off of the machine involves the same steps as during startup but in reverse order. To shut the machine off, first press the stop button to turn off the electric motor. Once the electric motor is stopped, it is necessary to wait for 5 to 10 seconds so that the mixture residue is blown out of the hoses. At this time, the shotcrete specialist shuts off the water supply with the valve on the nozzle. After using the supply line valve to blow out the hoses, the compressed air supply is shut off. Then the pipelines must be blown out to prevent mixture residue from building up on the walls of the rotor, the blower unit, the material hose, and the spraying hose. Afterwards the entire machine must be blown out. Then the dosing rotor is inspected. The rotor liner's surface should be clean and smooth. There should not be any wear, scratches, scuffs, or chips. If there are any dings or scratches over 2 mm, the linings should be removed and ground. Check the condition of the liners and the drum cells. They must not have tears. Also, inspect the top and bottom sealing plates. The plate's surface must be clean and smooth. There should not be any wear, scratches, or scuffs. If there is wear or scratches of more than 2 mm, it is necessary to remove the plates and grind them according to the recommendations in the user manual. Before assembling their making, it is necessary to lubricate the plates with a thin layer of Lithol 24 grease or cup grease surface. Assemble the machine in reverse order. Install the dosing drum and the dosing head, tighten the tie rods and connect the upper air line to the dosing head. Install the bunker, screw in the agitator and install the sieve. The nozzle needs to be cleaned at the end of the shift. To do this, unscrew the pressure plate, remove the nozzle tip from the nozzle holder housing, and clean the nozzle tip hole and the nozzle holder housing from the Shotcrete mixture. Pay special attention to the water holes. They should be clean and not clogged with Shotcrete mixture. Inspect the sealing rings. After cleaning, grease everything with the lubricant and reassemble. Replacing the sealing plates. The upper sealing plate is installed on the dosing head and is held in place by clamping screws. Unscrew the clamping screws and remove the plate. The plate may be installed with sealant or silicone, so some effort is required to remove it. The bottom sealing plate is installed on the base plate and is held in place with clamping screws. It can also be installed with sealant or silicone, so some effort is required to remove it. After cleaning the sealing plate locations on the dispensing head and base plate, install the sealing plates. The process of assembling the sealing plate involves the same steps as disassembling but in reverse order. Apply a thin layer of sealant and install matching the holes on the plate with those on the dispensing head and base. Lock them with clamping screws. Reassemble the machine in reverse order, then hand tighten the tie rods evenly, and wait for some time for the sealant to dry. Rotor liners replacement. The top liner is mounted on the rails and is easy to remove. The bottom liner is removed by loosening the locking plate bolts with a socket wrench and removing them from the guides. Rotor cell liners replacement. For convenience, place the rotor on its side, and take out the rubber liners one by bending them in half, then pulling the liner to the side. Reinstall the rotor's rubber liners. The process of assembling the rubber liners involves the same steps as disassembling but in reverse order. Before installing the liners, clean the rotor's inner and end liner seating surfaces from Shotcrete mix and dust. Install liners in the rotor cells and make sure they are securely seated. Then install the liners. Install the rotor's liners. The process of assembling the rotor's liners involves the same steps as disassembling but in reverse order. Before installation, it is necessary to clean the surfaces of the linings and the rotor from the Shotcrete mixture and dust. Install the linings on the guides and tighten the fixing plates bolts of the bottom lining. The replacement of the protective and tapered inserts of the blower unit. Disconnect the lower air line from the blower unit. Unscrew the coupling nuts that hold the diffuser part of the blower and remove it. There is a tapered polyurethane insert inside of it. Pull out the insert and check it for tears. Replace it if necessary. Unscrew the blower unit's mounting bolts from the bottom of the base plate and remove the blower unit. There is a rubber protective insert inside the blower unit. Take it out and check for tears. Replace if necessary. The process of the blower unit reassembly involves the same steps as disassembly but in reverse order. At the same time, make sure that the protective and tapered inserts are securely installed. When installing the diffuser part of the blower unit, pay attention that there is a sealing rubber ring to seal the connection there. Connect the lower air line to the blower unit.